Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome to another video. In today's video we're doing a get ready with me for church. So today I wanted to talk first about a girl called Isla Bell. So I first heard about Isla Bell in early October. I went out to dinner with Hosking and Sarah, and then after dinner we were standing outside the restaurant and there was a missing poster on a pole, and Hosking looked at the poster and said, "Ugh, missing person, creepy." And I looked at the poster and I saw this young girl, and she is tall and white and has red hair. And that kind of struck me because I'm tall and white and have red hair. And so that was the first I heard of her in early October. And Isla Bell was missing for about 2 months. And her mum set up a Facebook page called Help Us Find Isla Bell or something, and tons of people joined it, and tons of people joined in this search for this girl. And then just a few days ago they found her body, and so Isla Bell was murdered by, I think he was a Russian man who she met online, and she was beaten to death. This 19-year-old girl, tall, white, red hair, she was beaten to death and then stored in a fridge, and then she made her way to the garbage tip, and garbage collectors finally found her body. And so Isla Bell is, I think, the 85th woman lost to violence in Australia this year. And so just to drive this home a bit, I want to read to you some of her mum's posts on this Facebook page. Isla's mum. So she first posted, "She leaves an impression, she's hard to forget. She has a fighting spirit. Sometimes it's loud and sometimes it's soft, always enduring." And then she wrote, "We're here for you, Barb. I love you, my Care Bear." And then they were planning to go and visit the Great Barrier Reef, which they do every year to celebrate Isla's birthday. And her mum said on October 18th, she said, "Hey Barb, we're looking forward to our reef trip for your birthday coming up. We've been trying to call you to book flights. Let us know your thoughts. We love you, my darling." And then on November 2nd, she said, "My girl is still missing and dearly missed. Please don't forget her." And then she said, "To say we miss her is an understatement, and our hearts ache with each passing day." And then finally she said, "Unfortunately, the news is true. Our darling girl Isla was murdered. We don't have much to say other than that we are devastated and completely heartbroken." And then after that she said, "Cherished forever and suffering no more. I am so sorry I could not protect you, that your experience of the world was cruel and unsafe. Despite your challenges, you lived bravely, stood up for what was right, and remained the kindest human, the gentlest soul." And then finally her mum said, "May your murderer murder no more. With the deepest love and respect, your mama." And so that case in particular really touched me, really devastated me. I think because she is a tall white girl with red hair, and I am a tall white girl with red hair, and so I really identified with her. But she was missing for so long, and she's obviously so loved because her family, like when you read through those posts and the Facebook page, her mum never stopped looking for her and never like gave up hope. And then I can only imagine what it would feel like to hear that like your baby girl, she was beaten to death. Like someone physically beat her to death and then disposed of her in a fridge and then a garbage tip, and like I'm just really feeling a lot from this girl, her mom and her family. So yeah, I think that Isla Bell is the 85th woman, or the 85th Australian woman lost to violence so far this year. So they have arrested 2 men in connection with her murder. One of the men, there was CCTV footage from outside his apartment where you can actually kind of see him beating her to death. And this was just some man who she met online, and I think he was a Russian man. And then the second man who was charged was a man who, I suppose his friend or something, who helped him like deal with the body, who helped him transfer the body to the fridge, and then I think they just dumped the fridge on like the side of a road or something after like taping it up, and then someone found the fridge. But like this was a person, like this was a girl, like this was someone's daughter and someone's niece, and yeah. She wanted to be a marine biologist. She was studying and she wanted to be a marine biologist. So what else have I been doing? I've still been making my way through Soft White Underbelly videos. Like, the other night I watched one with this guy who was a Navy SEAL. So he was a Navy SEAL for a really long time, and then he joined the, what's it called? The French Foreign Legion. He joined the French Foreign Legion, and like this was a 2-hour interview with this man telling his story, because he really wanted to be a Navy SEAL, but he couldn't stop getting arrested. And he's like a huge man, like huge tattooed, like thoroughly tattooed white American man. And so he tells the story of how like he was making his way through Navy SEAL training, but then he kept getting arrested, and he was getting arrested for things like hitting someone in a bar. Like he would go to a bar and then end up punching someone, and I was like, what? Like, how do you accidentally punch someone in a bar? And this happened like multiple times. He kept getting arrested because he would just go to a bar and then he just couldn't help himself. He just couldn't help himself but to punch someone in the face. And I was just like, what? That's absurd. Like, that's not an accident. That's like, develop some self-control, you know? But the Navy SEAL team, they kept like getting him out of trouble because I think they really needed him, because they need like tough felons, I guess, in the Navy SEALs or whatever. And so the Navy SEALs kept like getting him out of trouble, but he just kept getting arrested. And I thought, this is ridiculous. Like, he got arrested time after time after time for stupid things like that, like punching someone in a bar. And like, I have never even felt compelled to punch someone in a bar, you know? So that was an interesting story. And then, there was one with an obsessive-compulsive clown. I think this man's name was Steve, and he was so funny. Like, he was hilarious. He talked about his So he's had obsessive compulsive disorder basically his whole life, and he was really good at explaining it. Like he was really good at explaining how his obsessive compulsive disorder worked and how it affected him. And so he would talk about how, like, he would get these thoughts, like, I'm going to kill my family. So he had that thought, and then he'd be like, oh no. And then he would have to say, I'm going to save my family's lives. I'm going to save my family's lives. I'm going to save my... He would have to say that time after time after time until he made up for that bad thought with like 10 good thoughts or whatever. And this was his whole life. And yeah, he explained it really well. And then he also shared that he was molested by his stepmom, and he was so funny. Like, this man was so funny. But he told his story about how he was molested by his stepmom, and when he was like 15 or something, and how that really messed him up. He had OCD, he had obsessive compulsive disorder before that, but he was talking about how that really messed him up a lot. And then, so because of his obsessive compulsive disorder, it was really hard for him to like study or work or read. And so that's why he became a clown. But he also I don't watch the interviews, I just listen to them. But he also dressed up as a clown, like while he was speaking, which was, it was performance art, really. It was high art, this interview with Steve the Clown. And yeah, so he talked about how he would have gone into like law or politics had it not been for the OCD, but that kind of prevented him because it got in the way of him like working and reading and studying. So instead he became a clown. But he seems to be a very successful clown, and he seems like a really grounded, really well-rounded, basically, right? Like really fun person, really funny, and really honest. And so now he's a clown and he does children's birthday parties and stuff like that. And so that man was hilarious. And then there was another one who I listened to called, I think his name was El Gordo or something. And so El Gordo was a hitman for the Cartel, and he told his story. His story was actually really heartbreaking because he shared about how when he was like 5 months old, his mum sold him for a bottle of beer. Like his mum sold him for a beer, and so then the rest of his family had to go and like get him back. And then when he was older and in prison, his mum came to visit him once, and he was like, why did you sell me for a beer? Like, is that all I'm worth to you? And he was crying while talking about it. And he said that his mum said, I'm sorry, like, I'm going to be back in your life now. And then after the second visit with her, so she came for 2 visits, and then at the 3rd visit, he was like waiting for her, and she never showed up. And he was like crying while he was telling the story, and it was so devastating, like this poor man. And so then he became a hitman for the Mexican cartel. So yeah, that's been really interesting. Soft White Underbelly has an enormous library of interviews, and I've actually been considering signing up to their like membership. They have like a subscription website where they have other like exclusive interviews, and also there are some interviews on YouTube that are censored, like parts of them are censored to conform with YouTube's guidelines. So I might look into getting a subscription to Soft White Underbelly so that I can access the whole library of interviews, because they're all so good, like so riveting, and it's really interesting listening to people's life stories. So thank you for getting ready with me for church today. You're beautiful, you're perfect, I love you, God bless you. If you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.